She wasn't supposed to be here. A single mother in a world that wasn't built for her kind of story. No connections, no favors, no safety net, just a dream and a child depending on her. She walked into Hollywood with nothing but faith, and Hollywood shut the door again and again, but rejection never broke her. It became her fuel. This isn't just another Hollywood story. This is the fight for survival. This is Taraji P. Henson. September 11th, 1970, in Southeast Washington D.C., a place full of struggle and small miracles, Taraji Penda Henson was born. Her name already carried weight. Taraji, hope, Penda, love. Two promises whispered into a world that rarely offered either. Her mother, Bernice, a corporate manager who stretched every dollar to feed the house.
It wasn't the projects, but it was low income. You know, that's just what my mother could afford at the time, but in my mind, I lived like a princess.
Her father, Boris, a janitor and metal fabricator who fought his own demons while trying to stay strong for his little girl, both doing the best they could in a world stacked against them. Taraji would later share these words. My father, Boris L. Henson, was everything to me. His complete and unconditional love and his unashamed, unabashed ability to teach me life's hardest truths made me the woman I am today. But behind his strength was a silent struggle. Her father battled with mental health issues, specifically post-traumatic stress disorder. They raised her in faith, in church, where Sunday mornings were filled with gospel songs, not complaints, where hope was a survival tool. Even as a child, Taraji had a light, a way of turning the ordinary into a stage. Even then, she was already performing. But DC wasn't always kind. Drugs, violence, poverty. Too many kids lost their way. But somehow, she kept moving forward. By 1988, she walked across the stage at Oxon Hill High School, the first of many stages she would conquer. But at that time, there was no fame waiting for her. Just questions and decisions. Should she follow the safe path or dare to chase something bigger? She chose safety first. Enrolled at North Carolina A&T State University, electrical engineering, a good major, a responsible choice. But her heart never fully belonged there. She tried to do what everyone said was smart, but every formula she memorized, at every class she sat through, her heart drifted further away. Years later, she'd sum it up simply.
Yeah, I can act like I know math, but I'm not mathematically wired. I failed math in college. I have 2 tutors, I think. I still fail. They actually had a mathematician on set and he's trying to teach it to me. I said, no. Don't try and teach it. We'll be here for 10 years. I'm not gonna get it.
Because deep down, her heart was never built for formulas. She was a storyteller, a performer. The little girl who once acted out plays in her bedroom still lived inside her. So she let go of safety and walked into Howard University's drama department, and there she finally found herself. Here, being dramatic wasn't a flaw, it was a gift. But as her talent blossomed, life had one more test. Pregnant, 23, alone. Her son, Marcel. Her reason, her fuel.
How old were you when you had your baby?
I was 24.
24.
Yeah, and I was a junior in college. When I became pregnant in college, you know, there were a lot of naysayers saying she gonna drop out, she not gonna do this. I love when people
Take the other.
look, listen. Please tell me I can't do something. That's gonna be fun.
She worked mornings at the Pentagon. Nights she sang and danced for tourists to keep the lights on. Every dollar counted. Every hour mattered. Every sacrifice was for him and for the dream. The baby came, the bills came, and the rejections came even faster. They didn't care about how talented she was. They saw a single black mother and decided she was too complicated.
I'm only human, and it seems every time I do something and I break another glass ceiling, when it's time to renegotiate, I'm at the bottom again, like I never did what I just did, and I'm just tired.
But what they didn't see was a woman who had already survived too much to quit now. She cried after some auditions. She didn't cry after others, but she always came back. John Singleton saw something they all missed. Not just an actress, a survivor, a woman who had lived enough life to give that character truth. Baby Boy became her first breakout. Hollywood finally took notice. The single mother from Southeast D.C. was no longer invisible, but this wasn't the finish line. It was just her first real step into the fire. The reviews were strong. Audiences connected with her, but Hollywood was still unsure. They called her urban. They called her limited. They didn't call her star. For 3 years, she pieced together a career. A few days on set here, a guest appearance there. No glamour, no stability, but always work. Because for her, the only thing more important than the dream was him. Then came Hustle and Flow, another independent film, another chance to prove herself. Her voice carried the weight of her own journey. When 3 6 Mafia won the Oscar for Best Original Song in 2006, Taraji was right there on stage, performing. A woman who used to sing for tourists, now singing for the Academy. But even after that night, Hollywood still wasn't sold. Until 2008, a role came that would demand they take her seriously. The Curious Case of Benjamin Button. She wasn't acting, she was channeling. Her portrayal of Queenie Benjamin's mother was tender, heartbreaking, unforgettable, and finally undeniable. It had taken nearly a decade, but on February 22nd, 2009, the girl from Southeast D.C., the single mother they once overlooked, was now an Academy Award nominee. She was no longer fighting to be seen, but the fight for respect was far from over. By 2014, Taraji had paid her dues. Over a decade of hustling, guest roles, supporting parts, small wins. But she knew one role could change everything. A new show was in development, set in the ruthless world of hip-hop, a family saga, and at the center of it, a woman named Cookie Lyon. Fox wasn't sure. Some executives were nervous. They questioned if audiences would embrace a black woman leading a primetime drama. They questioned if Taraji could carry a show. Taraji didn't care. She had spent her whole career being questioned. She was done asking for permission, and when she stood across from Terrence Howard, it was electric. On January 7th, 2015, Empire premiered. The world had never seen anyone like her. A mother, a fighter, savage, vulnerable. Cookie Lyon was born, and so was a cultural phenomenon. Within weeks, Empire shattered ratings. Viewers couldn't get enough. Finally, they weren't just seeing Taraji, they were seeing her power. In May 2015, she became the first black woman to win Best Actress in a Drama at the Critics' Choice Television Awards. Then, in January 2016, the Golden Globe, Best Actress in a Television Series Drama. 20 years of waiting, 20 years of doors closed, and now the world was finally catching up to who she always knew she was. Cookie didn't just make Taraji famous, she made her undeniable, and she forced Hollywood to see what it had overlooked for far too long. Fame had found her, but peace was harder to hold. Back in 2003, her son's father, her high school sweetheart, was murdered, leaving her to raise Marcel completely on her own. Another layer of grief added to a heart that had already carried too much. She carried that loss into every audition, into every performance, into every success. Then came another pain, one every black mother knows too well. Fear. Her protective instinct as a mother collided with a world still poisoned by racial injustice. Through it all, Taraji never stopped showing up. For her son, for herself. Even at the height of success, the struggle for equality, for respect, for healing never fully ended. So she did what she always did. She turned her pain into purpose, launching a foundation to fight mental health stigma in the black community, to give others the help she had to search so long to find herself. Because behind every red carpet smile was a woman still healing, still fighting, still standing. The world finally knew Taraji P. Henson's name. But this moment wasn't sudden. It was years in the making, years spent carrying films many in Hollywood overlooked. While Hollywood debated whether she was leading lady material, Tyler Perry gave her center stage. Even after Empire, Tyler Perry continued to believe in her. He kept giving her roles that demanded everything. From The Breakfast Club, Taraji describes how Tyler challenges her, and she respects him for it. He didn't see her story as baggage. He saw it as power. She brought to those roles what she had always carried: the weight of heartbreak, the fight for survival, the rawness of motherhood, the exhaustion of starting over again and again. These weren't just movies, they were mirrors, reflections of every sacrifice she had made long before the world started clapping. By now, Taraji wasn't simply acting, she was commanding, she was leading. And whether it was drama, comedy, or heartbreak, the world finally realized this wasn't just an actress, this was a force. She told her story in her own words: the heartbreak, the struggle, the victories no one clapped for. Then came TPH, her own hair care line, born not from branding but from experience, from years of doing her own hair in cramped apartments, on tight budgets, with little help. For once, success wasn't built for her. She was building it for herself and for others who looked like her. But her most personal work, healing wounds far deeper than Hollywood ever saw. In honor of her late father, she created a safe space for black men and women to talk about depression, anxiety, and trauma, words often whispered in silence for too long. Her voice had moved beyond the screen, into the hearts of people still still fighting battles she knew too well. She's done the work, the films, the awards, the advocacy, the healing, but somehow the story keeps writing itself. In 2025, Taraji returned to the screen for a role that felt different, not because it was bigger, but because it was hers. Straw wasn't fiction, it was a reflection, a single mother fighting battles no one sees, pushed to the edge by life's constant weight, the same weight Taraji had carried for real for years. Even Tyler Perry called it one of her most powerful performances, because it wasn't acting, it was released. The world didn't just see Cookie Lyon anymore, they saw the full woman, the girl from Southeast D.C, the single mother that everyone counted out, the woman who once rocked her baby to sleep after 14-hour shifts, the one who refused to fold. She turned rejection into fuel, she turned heartbreak into healing, and she built a legacy not just on screens, but in people. She wasn't supposed to make it here, but here she stands.